Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I'm Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are doing a live mock draft for the Kansas City Chiefs. Be sure to leave a comment, let us know your thoughts on the selections and what you want to see the Chiefs do at each pick. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and tackle that bell. Ryan, hit the start button. Let's get this thing rolling here. So, Kansas City Chiefs
Let's
have
do it.
already made some moves as well, traded Joe Tooney, shockingly, to the Chicago Bears for a 2026 pick. So how they're going to navigate this draft. Well, and I say that though too, it makes me think that they are definitely going to be focusing on the interior offensive line now as they re-signed Trey Smith. I think they like what they see so far and when it comes to the interior draft class here. And I think they could go running back. I think that's a legitimate option here. But I think with trading now, I am leaning towards Gray Zabel. I'm leaning towards Tyler Booker, maybe leaning towards maybe Donovan Jackson. That might be kind of a stretch just because of his versatility. But what are your thoughts overall?
I I, I have gone in this offseason, and obviously offensive line has been an issue, but I will still hold that left tackle is still the biggest need on this team, even after the Joe Tooney trade. I feel like, especially the value that you can get later in the draft for interior offensive linemen, I feel like they could maybe take a chance here on a Josh Connerly, on an Ariante Ursary, and then wait until they have 63 and 66 to potentially address the offensive line.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
or the interior of the offensive line.
Oh, and wait till later till the interior. So
Yeah.
I think that'd be interesting. What tackles are you saying? So you're saying Josh Connolly could be one of the guys here?
Yeah. Josh Connerly, I think, is interesting. So they drafted Kingsley Suamataia at the end of the second round last year. Him and Josh Connerly, I feel like, have the same or very similar issues where they are like really good athletes. They're comfortable out on an island. They just don't necessarily have the anchor to hold up at the NFL level. And so I feel like Josh Connerly draws some of those same concerns that you would see out of Kingsley Suamataia. So maybe they bounce the other direction and go with Ariante Ursary and go with like the 6'6", 335-pound kind of hulking left tackle who might not bend as well as a Josh Connerly or a Kingsley Suamataia, but can at least have the strength to play at the NFL level.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that could be an interesting round here if we do that because and maybe they can get creative, like maybe Kingsley or Wanya Morris, maybe they can kick inside at left guard and replace Joe
Mhm.
Tooney there because my thought process just about with going with tackle is they've spent capital on that before. And so you want to see these guys develop. But then if you immediately then just like kick that can down the road, it's maybe hard to see how well they can develop. So I could
Mhm.
see that, and then maybe they can get creative. So I'm indifferent. I can see them going either way. I do agree with you. Though. I think Ursray, he's so big, he's
Yeah.
just a massive human being that I think that maybe that's the route that they end up going, and just try and get that large human being.
Whatever route they go, I think that will tell us a lot about how they feel about Suamatai's development in
Yeah,
his rookie season, because I feel like if they do go tackle, that's kind of saying like, all right, this guy is not cutting it. We got to get something else. And if
yeah,
they go guard, I feel like that's saying like, okay, like maybe this guy can actually develop into a starter, and then we can fix the offensive line that way. So
yeah.
I'm indifferent, I guess, whichever scenario you want to play out.
So
Like,
let's play out this scenario though, where they go with the tackle here. Let's say they go with
okay,
Ursary, because I also think too, just to get Ursary, I don't think he's going to go in the late second round. I think he was going to go early second round here.
yeah, you have the
Um,
Patriots at 38. There are a
yeah,
bunch of tackle needy teams in that area as well.
yeah.
So
And this is where, to me, with these two picks back to back, I do believe that this is where we're going to see a receiver and a running back come off the board
yeah,
for this team as right here. Isaiah Pacheco obviously broke his leg, but then, and so he's still coming back and recovering, but he's coming in the final year of his rookie deal. And I think that you can just go and find better value here as well. So if you do end up going this route, I think you could go a Travion Henderson, and then at 66, go with one of the top receivers here. I think maybe Savion Williams, I think would be interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
yeah. No, I think to start off with 63, I think Travion Henderson would be good. Dylan Sampson, like they're all kind of in the same range. Um,
Exactly. It's gonna be which similar as well to kind of our debate on the last one. It's whichever one that they're gonna like more.
yeah,
It's more about like that positional need because all these guys are good. They can come in, I guess, and see them being successful.
yeah.
So
I could see Travion Henderson maybe piquing the Chiefs' interest just because he is. And I know obviously you're a running back. The most important thing is running, but he's the best pass blocker I think of this tier, and so I think that might be something that the Chiefs would find interesting,
they'll need it
especially
with the
yeah,
offensive line troubles they've had.
yeah.
So
So
let's do that.
okay, Travion Henderson,
Yeah.
and then Quinshon Judkins and Caleb Johnson went right after that.
Oh, it's
Um,
perfect actually.
so this is where you said you wanted to target a wide receiver. I do like Savion Williams. I think that would be um, frightening in a Chiefs offense, especially too. You have Rashi Rice, you have Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelsey's coming back. Savion Williams could be that true X receiver that they kind of need.
Yeah. I think that's the route that they end
Okay.
up going here. I think he's gonna provide more overall versatility than somebody like a Trey Harris, like
Okay.
if that makes sense. So I think he'd be interesting in this Andy Reid offense and kind of him working with Pat Mahomes as well.
Okay.
Do you need to worry about the drop rate? But at the same time, though, too, that's what they said about Xavier Worthy, and he had a pretty good rookie year as well. So I
Yeah.
think Savion Williams would do well in this Chief system.
Okay. And I also think too the Chiefs are comfortable overdrafting offensive playmakers by a little bit. Because I think he'll go mid third round. And so like I think you look at what they did with Xavier Worthy, you take Savion Williams because you know he's gonna be a key cog in your system.
Yeah.
And I feel like that'll be solid. Um I'm still looking for interior offensive line. We do need to address they have some free agents at linebacker. They have some interior defensive line guys. Actually, I guess edge rusher too. So they have Chris Jones and then like Charles Omenihu is a free agent. They have George Karlaftis. So I guess they need one edge rusher and one interior defensive lineman.
Well, and I'm curious about your thoughts here, but they might also need a free safety. I don't think they're going to be able to afford Justin Reed. They'll probably re-sign
Yeah.
Nick Bolton as he is going to be just dollar for dollar, just cheaper. And I think Andrew Akuba would be a really good replacement. And so they did
Yeah.
draft Jaden Hicks last year in the 4th round. So this would be like the same type of strategy as well. So they would need to see their development overall. And I guess it's something too, Chiefs fans, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts as a whole. They do also want to increase the like defensive line just in general. They could go Deion Walker, he could go CJ West because you did spend your first 3 picks on the offensive side of the ball, rightfully so for the Chiefs. I think similar to the Bills, the Chiefs were lifted up a bunch, I think, this year. One by
Yeah.
the defense, but I also think too Pat Mahomes then just has just that other level that can kind of carry this team as well. Even though it wasn't his best year statistically, also there is still just something about him that he really maxed out the juice overall because this offense really struggled this year. So
Yeah.
that's kind of makes that Joe Tooney trade for a 2026 pick a little odd, but that's for a separate video.
I so I don't know where you're leaning. I guess Mukuba makes a little bit more sense at this point. Um, and then I don't know, Dion Walker next to Chris Jones would be pretty enticing, especially too. You think Spags could definitely get some of the warts that Dion Walker has down almost immediately because his biggest thing is that he's just 6'7" and he plays too upright. And I feel like Spags could fix that.
Yeah, but it's interesting though. It's a very deep defensive line class. I'd be curious to see who's going to be
Yeah.
available around 130. Andrew Makuba is definitely not going to be there. And if we go look at the safeties, he's the guy to me that I think could contribute the best.
Yeah. Well, there's a big drop off. My only thing, you have Billy
Yeah.
Bowman there that could be available at 132. He's the
Well,
other guy that I kind of like.
but this is also, but I say that though, but with their next pick though, I'm thinking you're going to have Luke Kandra, you're going to have Willie Lumpkin, you're going to have other interior offensive line guys, and we
Yeah.
did the tackle position. So I, to me, I almost think Chris Jones, similar, I think to like what I was saying about Pat Mahomes. Chris Jones is a Hall of Fame level guy that already is
Yeah, he could.
improving that defense so much. You got Steve Spagnuolo, one of the best defensive coordinators, future Hall of Famer, I think. I'm leaning towards Makuba here because I'm
Okay.
going down the scenario
Let,
that Justin Reed is not returning,
let's go. Yeah.
and and then you're going to be creating competition between two young guys on rookie contracts, so to get the best out of them.
Okay.
And
Uh,
I even think too, like you can find scenarios where you can have both those guys on the field. So,
Okay.
and admittedly too, I'm a little unfamiliar with Jaden Hicks. I remember talking about him last year, but I'm trying to remember exactly
Yeah.
how much he contributed this year, which probably not much with
Th-
Justin Reed playing so much.
there aren't too many other defensive linemen I like at this point. Um, we probably are looking at could take Jack Kaiser. They're probably going to lose Nick Bolton in free agency.
Well, in this,
And so they have Leo Chenal.
I
So
so I think they might re-sign Nick Bolton. Uh, in that, so I guess, and that's where we'll find more information on once the free agency comes. So, but I've kind of been dictating the past couple picks. So, what are you thinking that they're doing here?
um right now it's up in the air whether they re-sign Nick Bolton. They were already a little tight on cap space coming in. So I think we look at interior offensive linemen and then we look at linebackers and
Okay.
just kind of see. I mean, Luke Kandra is interesting. He's a good player. Connor Colby, Tyler Cooper, those guys are good players as well. I like Luke Kandra a little more.
Okay.
Um man.
I think you got to improve that offensive line. I think they traded Joe Tooney
I
for a
do too.
reason. So let's go Luke Kandra here.
Okay. I do too.
Totally, yeah, and totally reneging what I just said. Uh, I wasn't going to influence this.
No,
But
you're good.
you got a lot of picks until this next one, 252nd to last pick, Mr. Irrelevant. Let's
Yeah.
recap here. So, Ariante Ursary, that tackle spot, hopefully left tackle position for them is locked down. Then you go Trayvon Henderson, then you go Savion Williams. I like both of those picks. Curious to hear y'all's thoughts. Get some more weapons back there. I don't think you want to keep going back to the Kareem Hunt well every single year, just in free agency. It's like start to maybe try and build a little bit around that with this class. And then Andrew Makuba. Now that being said, too, like after I said that, I went back and looked at PFF, and I know it's PFF. They do have Jaden Hicks rating well, but he didn't really play too much this year, not
Mhm.
until kind of like the second half of the season. So maybe they stick with Jaden Hicks, and maybe that's where Ryan. Who were you thinking about them? Maybe that's where they go Deion Walker
Yeah.
in this instance, and so that would be interesting if they went that route and stick with Jaden Hicks. So
We could
here,
go Jalen Walker from Indiana was a good player.
yeah, let's
That
do
could be
that.
the linebacker that they go and draft. So, I mean, I think the Chiefs are in a bit of a I don't say a tough spot because you have one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play football. But I think they've kind of forced themselves. This is not a deep tackle class. They kind of have to take a tackle early on. They only have 6 picks. From there, I think this team definitely improves through this draft, though. You get your left tackle, hopefully of the future of Ariante Ursary can come in and play well. Travion Henderson is a fantastic back. I really like Savion Williams and just thinking about what Andy Reid could scheme up for him, I think would be intriguing. Andrew Mukuba has a role day one as a starter at that free safety spot. Luke Kandra can help solidify the interior of that offensive line. And obviously nobody is going to replace Joe Tooney on their rookie contract, but you have a guy that can come in and compete for a starting role. And then Jalen Walker, I think at linebacker would be a good value there. He's probably a special teamer, but with that being said, crazier things have happened with the
Yeah.
256 pick.
Well, and I think too on picks 2 through 4, and that's what I said. Like if you don't like Trayvon Henderson, then I think you could go Dylan Sampson, and
Or
then
Quinshon Judkins or Caleb
yeah, and
Johnson
then
or
same thing.
whatever.
I think you go with Savion Williams and some of the other guys, um, because I think they need to improve that receiving room or that skill position room as a whole. And Makuba, It'd be I know you said he's got the starting position day one. I don't know how true that entirely is. I have to see what that would be like with Jaden Hicks. But once again, though, too, in that scenario,
Yeah.
then I think if they feel confident with that, then go with Deion Walker and like start to bolster up that defensive line as well. So there's options, and this is a good uh depth class, I will say. Like just trying to find good guys to provide depth. They can come in and provide some quality minutes. And who knows, maybe you can find some diamonds in the rough.
Yeah, and this isn't the greatest draft class to begin with, and so I think it's going to be hard for the Chiefs to really go in and drastically improve their roster. But with that being said, you have Patrick Mahomes, you have other stars like Chris Jones and Travis Kelsey on the roster. So I feel like if you can build up that supporting cast, that's really where the Chiefs are going to make their improvements in this draft class. So
Yeah.
with that being said, let's go ahead. Let's wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on what you thought of this Kansas City Chiefs 7-round mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently? Than that, we'll see you guys next time.